Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm the Gamer's Digester, and today I'd like to ask you guys a question. And before I get into that, of course, I have all three devices, so I feel like I found a reason for each device to kind of exist in my library of consoles. But my question to you is, what was it about each handheld that you own? Doesn't necessarily have to be on the table here. What was it that made you purchase that device? Now, there are hundreds of handhelds, and it really could be anything. There are older retro consoles. There are older, by console I meant handheld. There are Game Boys, there's DSs. Of course, you got all your Nintendo, but then there's other things. There are Ioneos. There's tons of Asian handhelds that they've made. One's strictly for emulating, one's for AAA gaming. What was it about each device that made you purchase it over another one? Because I feel like that discussion happens just by default in my comments. So I'm going to really be addressing that in today's video and giving you guys a place to discuss that with each other. Because honestly, in almost every video I post, there is always one thread of people who are having this discussion, regardless of if it was even brought up. So there's obviously a want for people to talk about this. And I'll be giving you guys my opinions in the background, I guess. So for me, the Switch was my very first handheld that I had purchased by myself. I'd had other Nintendo handhelds growing up, but they were hand-me-downs from my brothers. The Switch was the first one that I thought I might enjoy. I bought the original one, and it did have its quirks, but I felt that it was great to have because I had a lot of friends who liked to play Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. So when it comes to having a device that is not only good for you, but other people, I don't think there's any other on the market right now that does a better job than this. Of course, it doesn't have as great of performance as anything else. In fact, it might have some of the worst. But that's not why you would be buying the Switch. I don't know a single person who is looking at all of these devices available to you and thinking, oh, $350. That performance matches that price. That's why I'm going to buy this, because you could buy a Steam Deck for that much. It really comes down to, you want something that you could potentially play with your spouse, your partner, your kids, your friends. And there's not anything that these other devices or any other devices that I listed before that really have that capability. Being able to just detach a Joy-Con and pass it to your friend and play Super Smash Bros. While you wait on a bus or something, there is almost nothing like that. In fact, it's sometimes why we're gamers, if you know what I mean. Like there's been too many times where I've been on vacation, haven't seen somebody in a long time, and you don't really know how to start a conversation, so you just, hey, you want to play a game? I don't know if many of you guys can resonate with that, but for me, the Switch has been just an incredible device, and I wouldn't sell it. I wouldn't take it back, that purchase, even though the performance is shoddy. It's what it does is more than gaming. And for that reason, I think this is an excellent purchase, and I encourage anyone who is even slightly interested to do a little bit more looking into it to see if that's something that you would like. Now, for me, the other two handhelds I've purchased fairly recently was the Steam Deck and the Asus. Now, the Steam Deck I kind of bought it at an awkward time. Now, the ROG Ally, I believe at the time, wasn't even announced. So when I purchased this, I wanted something that would last me a long time. I wanted something that was able to play most of the games that I wanted to play and was just trusted by a lot of people. And at the time when I purchased the Steam Deck, it fit all of those. This was the $700 version of the Steam Deck. This had the 512 storage, the better screen. It had all these bonuses and upgrades, and so much like exterior modding support. You've got shells you can add on. I have custom buttons, a custom transparent backplate. There was just so much to do. The sky was the limits. Amazon was full of products that I could add and attach onto here. It was a no-brainer. And then about 1 month, 2 months later, they announced the Ally. Now, the first thing that was on my mind, right? Because let me backtrack. The reason that I had bought the Steam Deck was because it wasn't a $1,000+ handheld device. No diss to Ioneo or any of those other companies that make expensive handheld devices. There's obviously a market for them, and there's people who can afford that. But just like with any other device or with any other product for that matter, cars, whatever, you name it, not everyone can afford those. It's a good thing that they exist, but it's just not right for everybody. Now, that's why I purchased the Steam Deck, because it made sense for the performance, for the price. without having to take it apart and add more SSD. It made sense. Then they announced this. Now, you guys could say that I was coping, but honestly, I was excited. It was a very interesting feeling, right? Like, I mean, it's kind of hard to put this into words because there hasn't, for me, been anything else like it. Now, if there was an Xbox Series X that launched, and then 2 months later, Xbox announced they're having an Xbox Series X Pro Plus model that is the same price and does double the performance, you'd feel a little cheated, right? But I wasn't. I felt excited because I plan on holding on to all these devices for as long as it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I feel like these are such incredible and cool machines that I can't really part with them. So when this was announced, two things. One, I was excited, of course, but the price wasn't released. Not that there was no mention on the price. There was only speculation at the time. And I was hoping. I was hoping that it was like $1,400, $1,100, something where it was like, I can't afford that yet. That'll be something I save up for. And by the time I've saved up enough for it, it will be an upgrade. You know, it won't be like, oh, I've played this for 2, 3 months. Now it's time to just throw it to the side and play this exclusively. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. This was $700 and pre-orders went live. And honestly, it was incredible. The amount of upgrades that this had was on paper before actually receiving the device was enough for me to say, you know what? I think I want that device too. It has 120 refresh rate. It's got Windows. It's got RGB, of course, adds 100 horsepower. There was just a lot of things about this device that I felt like did better. Now that I have my hands on both, I'm glad I have both. There are a ton of things that I could list off, and I have listed off as to why I think that things that I think the Steam Deck does better. Now, does that mean I'm going to sell this? Of course not. Does that mean I'm going to sell the Steam Deck? Of course not. Like I just said, I think they're both incredible, and I think it's up to you to decide what you value more. For me, like I started out with in the video, obviously I think each one of these devices brings its own perks to the table, as well as cons, but those perks outweigh those cons, and that's why I have all three. Hopefully I'll be adding to this selection in the near future, but as for right now, until something else comes out that makes sense to the average casual gamer, and by casual, you could really break that apart. Hardcore, casual, I'm kind of like trying to meet you guys in the middle there. Because if I was hardcore, my entire room would be filled with these hanging on the wall. I'm trying to give you guys content that makes sense, right? Of course, there's Corvettes, there's Lamborghinis. I want you to know what is the affordable, like $20,000 like sports car that can match it in speed almost. I'm trying to make analogies and stuff that would make sense to a wider amount of people. But really what I'm getting to is not everybody can afford $1,500 handhelds. So when something like this rolls around that's $700 that has that performance, of course I'm going to pick that up because that's what you'll pick up. That's what other people will buy. There are sports car versions of these, if you will, that are, or hypercars even, that do crazy things. But like what? How many of you guys are actually going to go out and purchase that device? Because they might just make another one next week and make it cost double. So when something like the Steam Deck or like the Ally rolls around that's made by a regardless of how you feel about Asus right now, a quality device. And that's what I plan to show you guys and show you what those pros and cons are. Now, hopefully I've given you guys enough time with this video to gather your thoughts because I'd love to hear your opinions. I know a lot of you guys probably have more than what I have here. You might have 5 or 6 and you think that that this discussion isn't really that important to you. And if that's the case, I encourage you to read other people's thoughts because I bet you there is someone who's been saving up for months and months, and now they have the option to choose between one or the other, and they're going to have to make that decision. Whether you think that decision was smart or something that you would do, that's not up to you. The Steam Deck is still a valid purchase in this climate that we have here. So with all that being said, hopefully I've given you guys a safe place to to voice your opinions, maybe some cautionary tales of issues you've had with your devices, which of course we've gone over previously in other videos. But hopefully you've gathered enough information from others and from myself that you feel like not necessarily confirmation bias, because that's not necessarily what this is for, but hopefully you just feel a little bit better about what you're doing, because these are just here for us to have fun. And I feel like there's a lot of times people just like to argue about it because maybe they got nothing better to do. But I hope hopefully that's not what this video is going to be about for you. But with all that being said, I appreciate every single one of you guys for watching my videos, for staying subscribed, for liking, commenting. It really does mean the world to me. Waking up, reading all you guys' comments, seeing what everybody's saying, it feels great to be a part of something that has such a passionate community behind it. I didn't really know about, this might sound silly, just passionate people, right? I'm in Utah. Gaming was kind of not really a cool thing for quite a while, which might sound silly, but this is a very religious community that I've grown up in, and gaming was just something that was taking you away from other things that you could be doing. So growing up was always kind of rough, trying to find other people who felt the same way, who were passionate about not only mature video games like Call of Duty and stuff, but just gaming in general. And I'm really glad that I've been able to find a community online like you guys and give you a safe place to voice your opinions about how much you may like something. Because yeah, if I could go back and tell myself that there actually were people who were interested in this as much as I was, that I could communicate with, it'd be pretty cool. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, y'all.